Right now, sitting low on the right side of your gut is a small tube of tissue about the size of your finger. You were born with it. You've never used it. You've never felt it. And on any given day, with no warning at all, it can swell, fill with pressure, and burst inside you. When it does, you have hours, not days. And for over a century, doctors told you it was completely useless. They were wrong about that. They were wrong about almost all of it. So what is this thing? Why do you have it? And why does the one organ everybody calls a leftover try to kill roughly 1 in 20 people who ever live? Let's start at the beginning. The appendix is a thin, closed-end pouch. It hangs off the start of your large intestine in the lower right of your abdomen. On average, it's about 3 to 4 inches long. It has one opening, and that opening is the entire problem, because a tube that's sealed at one end is a tube that can get blocked. For most of medical history, nobody knew what it did. Charles Darwin himself weighed in. He argued the appendix was a vestige, a shrunken leftover from an ancestor that ate far more rough plant material. Useless now, just along for the ride. That idea stuck for over 100 years. Surgeons would even remove a healthy appendix during other operations, figuring, why not? You weren't using it anyway. But here's the question nobody could answer. If it's truly useless, why hasn't evolution gotten rid of it? Useless organs tend to disappear. This one didn't. It's been around in primates for a very long time. Something was keeping it. In 2007, a team at Duke University finally proposed an answer. Their lead researcher was William Parker, and their idea has a name that sounds almost too simple: the safe house. Here's the theory. Your gut is packed with bacteria, trillions of them. Most are helpful. They digest your food and train your immune system. But sometimes you get sick. A bad infection, something like cholera or severe dysentery, floods your intestines and flushes everything out. The good bacteria get wiped away with the bad. So where do you reseed from? The appendix. That narrow, dead-end tube, tucked off to the side and out of the main flow, makes a perfect hiding spot. When the storm passes through your gut, a reserve population of good bacteria sits safe inside the appendix, ready to repopulate. A backup drive for your microbiome. It is not a leftover. It is a safe house. Suddenly, it made sense. In a world without clean water, where deadly gut infections were common, an organ that could restart your good bacteria was worth keeping. Darwin didn't have germ theory mapped out the way we do. He couldn't have seen it. But that same shape that makes it a good safe house is exactly what makes it dangerous. Think about it. A narrow tube, sealed at one end, only one way in or out. Now imagine that opening gets plugged, maybe by a small hardened piece of stool called a fecalith, maybe by swollen tissue, maybe in some cases by something else entirely. The appendix keeps producing fluid and mucus inside, but now it has nowhere to drain. Pressure starts to build, the walls stretch, the bacteria inside, with nowhere to go, begin to multiply out of control. This is appendicitis, and the clock has started. You feel it first as a vague ache, often near your belly button, easy to ignore. Maybe you think it's something you ate, but over the next hours, the pain shifts. It travels down and to the right. It sharpens. It gets specific. That migration is the warning sign. That's the appendix, swelling, telling you something is very wrong. Inside, the pressure keeps climbing. The blood supply to the wall gets choked off. Without blood, the tissue starts to die. And dead, infected tissue under pressure does exactly what you'd fear. It ruptures. When the appendix bursts, all of it spills out. The pus, the bacteria, the infected fluid, straight into your abdominal cavity, a space that is supposed to be sterile. The result is peritonitis, a raging infection across the lining of your gut, and from there it can spill into the bloodstream as sepsis. Without treatment, this is how people die. And historically, before surgery, they did, routinely. Here's a number to sit with. Your lifetime risk of getting appendicitis is somewhere around 7 to 8%, roughly 1 in 14 people. It is one of the most common abdominal emergencies on Earth, the most frequent reason for emergency abdominal surgery in many countries. This tiny, useless tube is one of the most reliable ways the human body sends itself to the operating table. But here's where the story turns back on itself. Because remember the safe house? The reserve of good bacteria? That feature evolved for a world we mostly don't live in anymore. A world of dirty water and constant gut infections, where wiping out your microbiome was a real and frequent threat. In the modern developed world, with clean water and sanitation, you almost never face that kind of total gut wipeout. The safe house sits there, fully stocked, guarding against a disaster that rarely comes. And some researchers think that's part of the danger. The very same modern, sanitized environment that makes the appendix less necessary may also change how our immune systems behave, possibly making that little tube more prone to the swelling that starts the whole cascade. Think about what that means. The organ may be misfiring precisely because we no longer need what it was built to do. A bodyguard with nothing left to guard, still standing at the door, occasionally turning on the person it was meant to protect. So when surgeons remove it, you're usually fine. People live full lives without an appendix. The backup drive is gone, but in a clean modern world, you rarely need the backup. Still, it's worth pausing on. For 100 years, we called it junk. A mistake. An evolutionary hand-me-down with no purpose. And it turned out to be a carefully kept survival tool from a harsher world, one that just happens to be poorly suited to the comfortable one we built. It's not a flaw in the design, it's a design for a different time. Tonight, that small tube is still sitting there, low and to the right, doing nothing you'll ever notice, probably for your whole life, but it's the part of you that remembers a world you were lucky enough to never live in.